All right, so we're going to do a live. All right, so we're going to do a live. All right, so we're going to do a live. So we're going to talk about twin truth. We're going to continue our reading of the mind power into the 21st century tomorrow night. Tonight, we're going to talk about twin truth. We're going to change it up a bit. Okay? And hopefully, you've been able to take some notes and to study mind power into the 21st century. But today is some twin truths, and I'm going to give you examples. You're going to be asking me questions, I hope. We're going to do some oracle reading. Not a lot, not tonight. Tonight, I have a client tonight, very late, but I want to go ahead. So if you can share the live, I would really appreciate it. Share the live so we can start it right away instead of waiting for, thank you, Scorpio, my Scorpio live, Eliza, and Alicia, thank you for being here. If you guys can share the live with your friends, and let's go into twin truths to kind of eradicate these weird beliefs that you're going to hear from a lot of content creators who really have no business making comments. I'll give you an example. Well, if he was your twin or she was your twin, they wouldn't abuse you. That's a twin lie. That's rhetoric. So we're going to be talking about a lot of lies about the twin flame journey. And we're going to talk also and give you examples of twin rays so that you can have a nice contrast of the difference between twin rays, because many of you are being hustled by content creators saying all kinds of, you might hear my voice. I'm going to use the word passionate, but it pisses me off, okay? I'm passionately indignant because what you're hearing about twin flames has nothing to do with twin flames. It has everything to do with twin rays. And so most of you are suffering these ideas that, oh my God, but well, then I must be going crazy because I'm getting all the other signs that it's a twin flame, but I'm definitely not getting all of that kumbaya shit with my twin flame. Yes, because you've got content creators, including, Core. There's this chick that must have 6 million people who follow her bullshit. And I actually did reply to her bullshit publicly. And I said, what you've just described is a twin ray journey. It has nothing to do with twin flames. And you should actually retract what you said so that you don't harm people. That's a big responsibility, okay? Because when you're reading about twin rays, and it tells you about the kumbaya, you meet, the kiss, you never separate, you rarely fight, nothing is beyond repair, nothing. It's a really good, beautiful life filled with magic, manifestation. That's twin ray. And still, life can fuck you over. Perfect example of twin ray would be Mary of Magdalena and Yeshua, as you know. I hope you know that that's a twin ray couple on the highest level. You know, we're not there. But many of us who have graduated to twin ray, I can tell you that the twin flame journey was filled. It was like sometimes walking barefoot on broken glass. It was bloody, it was messy, and it was painful. Okay? So twin rays, don't 10 flames become twin rays? Don't, no, my love. Twin rays is not all, my God, let me put it this way to you, to put it in perspective. Twin rays, very few people can even get into union as twin flames. Because you can be in a twin flame union, as I was with my twin, where we lived together for like 7 years total, right? Out of 10, right? And many of you don't know this, but he passed this year, and we were in union for a year, so we had a separation of 2 years, which was very painful, but it was very important. Like, in a way, it's really kind of messed up because I wouldn't have created this channel, and I wouldn't have been who I am today. I am not the person I was 3 years ago, before the final dark night of the soul that made me transcendental. That's why I'm able to talk like I do, with a certain type of transcendental understanding, with him gone, physically gone. He's still with me every day, but do you understand? It took that. It was almost like the universe said, okay, look, you don't know this, Tony, but your twin's not going to make it to 80, okay? So because we know that we're going to give you a separation of 2 years so you can get used to the shit of not being with him, because we know this is going to happen, but we also know that you have free will, he has free will, and if you want, we'll open the portals for you to be in union, and if you do, then you will have the opportunity to actually graduate into twin rays through the work of spiritual, cathartic, burning, and massively radical self-forgiveness and forgiveness of your twin, and at that point you'll be able to graduate to be twin rays. None of that. In fact, I never thought we'd ever be twin rays in this incarnation, much less in union, to be honest, okay? But everything needed to happen in perfect divine timing. Painful as fuck, don't get me wrong, but important, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of twins which I just mentioned, Esther and Jerry Hicks. So we don't know the dynamics of what Jerry Hicks was before he met Esther Hicks, nor do we know what was happening with Esther Hicks. We don't know if they were involved in alcohol or drugs or whatever. We really don't, okay? And it really, again, we don't know. But what we do know, and they've told us publicly, is when Esther and Jerry Hicks were about to meet, and there was this tension where they knew the same people, and yet they never physically met. It was so crazy that there's a famous story that Esther Hicks talks about where in Florida, I believe it was in the state of Florida, where Jerry Hicks pulled out, moved out of apartment 302, right? Same building, same apartment. So he moved out, and that afternoon, Esther Hicks took over the apartment of 302, unbeknownst. They literally crossed in the night. They never got to see each other, right? That's mind-blowing. That's Twin Flame's story. And finally, they met as twin rays. There must have been something where they needed to experience X, Y, and Z separately before they could get together in union. And they never separated at all, ever. She still has, in fact, she downloads, you'll hear her. She downloads Abraham and she downloads Jerry. You've heard that, right? Okay, because she's still in union. It's just transformed, right? Okay. The other example I can give you of that was David Bowie. In fact, I used that example with a client today because I had to explain to her. She told me the rhetoric. I said, thank you for giving me the subject to life. She said, I've just heard that twin flames are this, that, and they're never abusive, they're never fucked up, and they're never this, that, and the other. Well, that's bullshit. Okay, we don't walk on water. But let me explain to you what happened with David Bowie and Iman. So Iman needed to have her human experience, marry and divorce, have a child with this man. Meanwhile, David Bowie had to be bisexual. He had to be into drugs. He did all the fuckery, painted his nails black, blue, whatever. Had multiple lovers, men, women. It didn't matter, and he was addicted to all kinds of shit. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he straightened his shit out. Like suddenly, I don't know if he went to therapy. I have no idea, really. All I know is that because I'm a fan, a massive fan. I think he's one of the best lyricists on the planet, besides Jim Morrison. So anyway, long story short, I just watched him in action, and suddenly he went through his what we call the thin white duke era in the 80s. And suddenly he became a gentleman. He dressed beautifully, very elegant, very posh. And boom, the universe introduced Iman and David Bowie, because now David Bowie became a sacred masculine to her sacred feminine. And they were they must have been twin flames doing their shit, never meeting, or 6 degrees of they must have been twin flames doing their shit, never meeting, or 6 degrees of separation. And then when they met, they had graduated spiritually to meet as twin rays, because they never fought, they never separated. From the time they met, it was like they were inseparable, to the point that, as you know, he passed. And she still will tell you she's not a widow. She's married to David Bowie. He's just on the other side. It's just a transformed relationship. So do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So we saw that the wounded, self-destructive masculine, aka David Bowie in this case, transformed himself on his own for whatever reason, and he was really into the occult and very into other things, and he must have come across the right people, the right guides that gave him the right information for him to transform, to prepare for the sacred meeting, the divine meeting, right? So that does happen. But she asked me, she said, well, I've heard also that in the twin flame journey, you're not supposed to help them, just remove yourself, be the divine feminine, and just step back. And I said, okay, well, in that case, well, let's just have let's have babies, and eventually they'll feed themselves, I'm sure, and then they'll become toddlers, and I'm sure they'll learn how to read and write on their own. We're never gonna. It's a ridiculous premise. So I said to her, you need to stop convincing him that you are the one and he should trust you with his heart. Because you see, the problem is, it isn't that he doesn't trust you. And this is a problem within the twin flame journey. It's that he doesn't trust himself at all. Not at all. And so because he's afraid of being hurt, he's afraid because he keeps making the same mistakes, right? With the women he chooses. She says, well, he's always choosing women who create drama. And I said, well, it's because his brain has developed synapses of habits that he will always be attracted to these women. I bet you his mother was a fucking full of drama. And she said, yes. I go, well, bingo. So of course his brain's been wired since infancy to be attracted to this kind of drama. He's attracted to drama. And I said, but what he needs to do is learn how to trust himself. And the way you do that is you're gonna insist that he does these various books, audible books, so that he can come out of his fuckery. And then she dropped the bomb. She said, well, he's a Jehovah's Witness. And I went, well, that is going to be like pulling nails out of a wall with your bare hands. So that's going to be massive. Does that make sense? Any other questions? I hope that made sense. Any questions here? Sometimes I don't need to do this anymore. Don't twin flames become twin rays? So does that answer your question? So when she said, well, will I ever meet anyone else? And I said, well, let me ask you this. So there's this man out there. There's a high-level soulmate of yours. He's out there in the world, right? And he's done all the work. He's worked on himself in terms of he's gone to therapy. He's done hypnotherapy. Maybe he's even done plant medicine. He's journaled. He's excavated, and he did all this massive work to become a divine masculine, right? Kind of like what David Bowie did, right? And do you really think that they're going to send you that man? She couldn't answer. I said, why would they send you a perfectly fabulous fucking divine masculine if you're going to dibble and dabble with him? And the minute your twin flame, who's totally toxic, comes back, you're going to run back to your twin because, well, it's your twin. No, that's not how the universe works. They will send you a-holes again and again, not to punish you, but to say this is your energy is so focused on your twin that as long as that is your only focus, the only thing you can attract is the dregs of the bottom of the barrel. But when when a twin flame divine feminine decides, you know what, my twin is so beyond repair that I am not doing this anymore. When that happens, where the twin flame finally, the divine feminine says, I am done. And she means it with her whole, in other words, even if her twin came back to her alone or in a divine union, she would never take back her twin because it's like, dude, you've had all these chances. I'm not doing this with you. Well, I'll just catch you on the flip side of the moon. We'll do it some other time, whenever that is. In this life or the next, I surrender, right? At that point, when the divine feminine has made a massive shift in how much fuckery she'll accept, then yes, the universe will send you that incredible divine high-level soulmate that will be your beloved for the rest of your life, because you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to say, twin, sorry, you waited to you've dragged me through the mud for 10 years. I'm not doing it anymore. This man treats me like a queen. The sex is off the charts. We have fun. We're spiritually deep diving into all kinds of shit. In fact, I just came back from a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat for a week. Like, you think I'm going to give that up for your fuckery? No. When a woman is to that level of I'm done, that's when she'll meet better for now, but better for this incarnation. And this is something it's not a failure. You have to understand, you can't beat your twin into an awakening. It's not how it works. Your twin has free will, and the free will is a double-edged sword. It's either going to be guiding him in the right direction, or the monkey mind's going to take over, and it's going to be very self-destructive behaviors. And you're going to decide that you don't want to be part of that self-destructive behavior. You're going to actually remove yourself because it's so bloody painful. It's beyond you. There are no words for the pain it causes you, right? There are no words except howling. Okay? And that's basically, oh, you're welcome, my Scorpio life. So I hope this helps. Because something told me today, after talking to this client, I said, I better jump in and let's so we'll do mind power into the 21st century tomorrow, don't get me wrong. But today, I thought it would be a good idea for us to deep dive into that conversation, because when you leave a situation, whether it's your husband, your wife, whatever, leave for yourself. Never leave for the twin. Don't leave anyone for your twin. Leave for you. Okay? And once you leave for you, the universe nods its head in approval, standing ovation, my friends, because you're more important to you. You're loving you. You're advocating for your inner child. You're making sure that you're good. Like you're not leaving a marriage, a toxic marriage, or a celibate marriage, or a lonely marriage because, well, here's the nectar of your twin. You're not doing that to yourself. Does that happen for many people? Yes. Is it lasting? No. No, because they at that point become codependent. Their very breath depends on the twin's smile. Their very self-worth depends on the twin flame sending a good morning text. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why I say to people, sometimes you can be in physical union and still be in separation. In other words, you can be in bed with your twin and you live together, pay bills together, all of that. And if your twin is addicted to any drugs, legal or illegal, okay, whatever, right? And you're not having in other words, you feel lonely in your bed or in the union, because you can be in union and still feel lonely. I don't know why people think it's kumbaya, and be in separation. So even though you're in the same bed, you're in separation, okay? So for the twin flame journey to work, do you understand why both people have to be to some level of awakened? In other words, do you understand why one twin can't be 10 steps ahead? It's too far ahead in frequency. It's not a match. And eventually what will happen is something crazy. The universe will create a tower moment where you guys have to separate, and it will blow your mind how it happens because the frequency is off. So the quickest way to a long-term union is for conversations of value about their awakening, about their healing, in other words, you need to become transcendental and become twin flame mentor, not twin flame lover, at least for a little bit, until they come to you renewed, awakened to their own shadows and to their own whatever they're dealing with, if you know what I'm saying. Let me see what you guys are saying. It's taken me almost a year to start awakening and realize he's my TF. I started dreaming of my TF the year I divorced and met him the year after that. That's fantastic. But you did it for the right reasons, right? You divorced because you wanted to divorce. You didn't divorce because, oh my God, there's my twin. Let me leave my husband, my whole, everything for my twin. You did it for the right reasons. Some of us have different stories. And again, when you hear content creators, I'm going to put it this way, and supposed twin flame coaches tell you that, well, if it was your twin, he wouldn't abuse you, she wouldn't abuse you. Bullshit. I'll give you a scenario. So I divorced because my marriage was toxic. Fantastic. So I'll give you a scenario. So a child is born to a toxic family, okay? And there is emotional and physical abuse in that situation. There's addiction in that situation. And the child grows up under that environment of massive stress and fear. And as you well know, if you've ever studied narcissism, there are two things that happen to a child like that. There are two ways a child can grow: massively empathic or massively narcissistic. Okay, they don't come out normal. You can't come out normal out of those kinds of situations. It's not possible. So you're either going to be empathic, right? Psychic, empathic, incredible, an overgiver, all that shit, or you're going to come out as a narcissist. Okay, with that said, let's say he comes out, let's make him a man, okay? So he comes out narcissistic. He's confused he's ambivalent about his sexuality because of other abuses. He marries, he divorces. He married a woman that was also an alcoholic, very similar to his mom or his father, whatever. He relived some of the trauma. He then divorces after maybe 5 or 6 years. He has a couple girlfriends. He keeps attracting bimbos who play him for money, who play him for this. So he becomes angry, right? He becomes angry. His narcissistic traits start really coming out of the woodwork, right? And finally, here you go. You're walking into, and you meet him, okay? You meet him, you're bumping into a cafe or a beach or whatever, and the relationship starts. And he's a narc. He's a narcissist. There's no doubt. He's triangulating you. He's gaslighting you. All the fuckeries happen. He's ghosting you. He's punishing you through ghosting you, because that's what mommy used to do. When mommy wanted him to do something and he didn't do it, she would ignore him, not speak to him for a couple days. And this was from the time he was. So how is it that it can't be a twin flame? This is one human experience of millions of human experiences, or millions of incarnations, or 100 to maybe 300,000 incarnations as a human. And this is one of many. It's just one. But in this incarnation, you had to learn, okay, and this person had to learn not to let their beginnings impact who they are. Meaning, this shouldn't have happened to them. They shouldn't have become a narcissist. They should have become, if anything, an empath. But for some reason, they decided that the world was a place of fraught with mistrustful people to harm them. And so they create a shield, and it's a cruel one. It's a very cold, icy shield. And then, of course, they'll be charming and romantic, and they'll love bomb you, and then they'll shut down again. For any content creator to say, okay, that this is not a twin flame is absolutely absurd. Any questions on that? Any questions or comments? It's absolutely absurd. So yeah, do we have twins that are narcissistic? Of course we do. Look at the world. Look at governments. They're narcissistic. So why wouldn't your twin going through all that trauma not come out as a narcissist? And what are you falling in love with? Not that personality, because you're not crazy. You fall in love with the essence vibrating out of that human body that is a temporary vessel, because you know their soul is good. You know they're better than that. How do you know? Well, your fucking soul's telling you they're better than that. And you're hoping and praying that they're going to break out of this veneer of illusion of this personality called Joe or Derek or Tom, okay? You're going to hope and pray that somehow, some way, they're going to find themselves to their true self. That means they have to literally machete out of the construct that created them from the environment from childhood. How the fuck can't a person be a twin flame from that beginnings? Are we all walking on water? Now, did I just give you the illustration of David Bowie? We don't know what his childhood was to create all of that, right? But he came out of it, didn't he? Okay, so any questions on that? Okay? Any questions? And now we've been in union 4 years. Congratulations. How can I be in a harmonious union with a narcissist TF? Is this possible? What do you mean harmonious? This is not to ridicule you at all, though it may sound like it, but it's not. Is a narcissistic person in harmony with themselves? Of course they're not. Can narcissism be healed? With all the experts, the answer is no. However, Sam Vatkin, a triple PhD, a self-proclaimed malignant narcissist, had said that he came with a breakthrough of a treatment called cold therapy. And cold therapy is the premise that the way to treat a narcissist is through childhood therapy systems, not adult therapy systems, because by the time they're adults, they're fucking narcissistic. What you have to do, he said, as a psychologist, is to go back in and use a childhood therapy techniques. And he said, and that works. Okay? But no, there could not be harmony. Can you get nectar with a narcissist? Of course you can. Of course you can. You'll have, because, they will. Are they self-aware they're narcissists? Well, I'd say that 90% of narcissists will not admit they're narcissistic. However, there's certain things that, you shouldn't diagnose it yourself, but there's certain behaviors that will show you. And in terms of twin flames, the question is it a twin flame? The question is it a twin flame or a past life loop where you guys were lovers in many, many incarnations and you kept messing up? So the number one thing I would say to you is make sure it's a twin, because a lot of psychics are throwing around confetti proclamations that you're a twin and you're a twin. Oh, that's a twin and this is a twin and everyone's a twin. And that's ridiculous, because as I said in many of my lives, not all twins are born on the same era. One twin will incarnate while the other one stays behind. Okay? That's why when you go into hypnotherapy, your twin's nowhere to be seen. Right? At all. Okay? And then suddenly you'll do a hypnotherapy later on as you progress through your, hypnotherapy sessions. You have this one, that one, and eventually, as you've gone through a lot of processing, a lot of past lives that you needed to just clear and clean and kind of like heal, then you might have a past life with your twin, as I did, right? And I knew it was my twin, and I knew who my high-level soulmate was. And I tell this story all the time. Well, how do you know? Well, I'll give you an example. So in the same exact session of hypnotherapy I had with a colleague, I was training to be a hypnotherapist at the time, I saw a little girl running towards me with braids, and she jumped into my arms and encircled my neck, and I knew immediately it was my grandmother. How did I know? Because I knew her soul. I knew her soul. And then she ran, and then she jumped out of my arms and ran to her group of soul tribe. So how do you know that your twin is not a narcissist? It's just one mask. You guys need to understand, we play roles every time we incarnate. Okay, so in one incarnation you're a queen, and the next incarnation you're a sailor. In the next incarnation, it's a role. It's not who you are. You're never supposed to actually believe that this is it. Oh, that Tony is Tony, and she happens to be a psychic who does hypnotherapy and does this and that, and the way she does X, Y, Z, and whatever, right? And that's who she is, and it's all she'll ever be. That's a lie. No. I've had incarnations as a man, many, many times. I was a brutal man, a kind man, a loving father, a bad father, an absent father. And I've been a mother, a good mother, a bad mother, a high priestess that used power. That's not who I am today, nor is it who I am when I drop this body. So you have to understand, these are roles we play. So what is the benefit of you having a narcissist in your life? Okay, let's say it's a twin flame that triggers the shit out of you. Well, the benefit is that you're probably an overgiver. And you've yet to overgive to yourself. Very rarely do you show up for yourself, but you sure in the hell are good at showing up for everyone else. That is a problem, because you're actually not creating boundaries for yourself. Don't worry about creating boundaries for other people. Create them for yourself. That means my boundary for my inner little girl is I don't let you do X, Y, and Z. Those are my boundaries. That means I don't allow it. Okay? I don't need to create boundaries for you, because once you know the rules of the game with me, you'll never cross this fence. You'll never push my buttons, because you know I will not allow it. It won't go well for you, right? And so you basically, I'm going to say it, train people how to treat you. You train them, not teach them. Train them. Why? Because you will tell them, yeah, I will not tolerate X, Y, and Z, right? It's not how I roll. However, if you do X, Y, and Z, we're good. And they have to also share with you what's their stuff, what do they need from you, and so forth. But going back to the narcissist, why is it that people actually believe, and these are supposed experts with followers up the ass, who actually are saying, well, a twin flame can't be a narcissist. Do you know how many narcissists we have on the planet? Do you know how many people have been harmed? Do you know that the average person, 4 out of 5, has been physically, sexually harmed as children? Do you understand all this? As kids? So it's not like that's not going to happen. And they're not taken care of by their parents. Their parents are alcoholics, gamblers. Very few parents are good parents, much less great parents. They're out there, but not a lot of them. I'll give you an example, though, of transcendental thinking. My high-level soulmate's father was a professional football player in the late 1950s and 60s, and he was an absolute pig. He was he was, I don't know what the word you use, but anyway, if it wasn't nailed down, he'd have it. Let's put it that way. And it was awful. It was awful for the whole family. And he eventually left the family in San Francisco for another woman, a Miss America. Okay. And my high level soulmate was devastated. He was 10 years old watching his mother beg him not to leave her. Right. Well, that created him, he was an empath. He became an empath. Right. And what was interesting about him is he swore that anything that his father did, he would do the opposite. So what that meant was, he suffered from other addictions. Alcohol was the only addiction he had. But he became a really good man because he was loyal. He never cheated. And he became a very good father to our son. He did the opposite of everything that he was faced with that reminded him of his father. That was how bad it was. And my high level soulmate was 6'2", biggest shoulders I've ever seen. He could have been a football player himself. Biggest hands I've ever seen to this day. And he did not, though he was an athlete, born athlete, he was bred into him, right? He had the perfect physique for it. Everything that meant I'm not going to cheat on my wife. I'm not going to go into sports. Nothing. He was, in other words, he turned his back on everything his father represented, which was good. It was healthy. That was his way of saying, I will not be that. I will create my own manhood. I will decide what a man is for me. And so, thank God he didn't become a narcissist. However, his sister did. His mother did, because of the damage of decades of that kind of behavior. It harms people. It turns them into really good, nice people into complete, it destroys people, okay? But, so when people say to me, well, I thought that if it's a twin flame, it can't harm you. It's a flame, not a ray. It's a flame. And we need to understand what that difference is. Okay? That doesn't mean life doesn't happen to you. Clearly, David Bowie died. And Iman is now going to live the rest of her life without a partner in this incarnation, right? She's definitely, so far, from what I've seen, doesn't look like she wants to replace David Bowie with a new man, right? We all see these other women doing it, right? Well, not her. Mary of Magdalene lived probably at least 1 or 2 decades. We're not quite sure, but it sounds like she lived at least 20 more years without Yeshua and continued the ministry. Okay? That's a twin ray. Any questions or comments? Let me look down. Hang on, because I usually look up so I don't get distracted by this stuff. Are we supposed to send healing resources to them? Yes. Having zero boundaries was my biggest issue for 40 years. It's everyone's issue. If you're a good person, that's everyone. If you're a good person, that's going to be your issue as a good person. You're going to be an overgiver. And what you want to always find is an overgiver that is, you're an overgiver, they're an overgiver. Imagine the bliss. You're going to bliss out. So does this make sense now? Because I don't want to continue this concept, this idea that if it's a twin, it won't harm you. Quite often, because it's a twin flame, it will harm you. Well, look at who we are. Look at where we're at. Let's say that out of all of this group, 50% of the number watching this right now, that you've never been truly abused by your twin. But guess what? You're not in union. And just because you're not in union, and they have decided to remain in their marriage or away from you for whatever reason, with a girlfriend or whatever the hell it is, or boyfriend, whatever it is in your case, that's creating massive pain in you. It's creating you a sense of, why is this person not choosing me? Why am I not being chosen? Right? And that would create massive pain, because now you're looking at yourself going, second guessing your value. Well, that's exactly why it's happening. So you no longer second guess your value. You finally realize, you know what? I'm not with arrogance, of course, or false pomposity, but with the understanding that it's not you they're rejecting. They're rejecting them, realizing that if you know them too well, if you live with them, they'll have a tape in their head that no relationship they've ever been with ever lasts. It always falls apart. It's always ugly. and they'd rather not put you through that. And what if you really find out who they really are, then you won't love them anymore. And there's a lot of like programming and looping of these weird tapes of deprecate, these negative thoughts that they have about themselves that will keep them from choosing to be with you, including this false idea that they have a duty to a marriage that's toxic or celibate or lonely or all of the above. And because of the kids. I've never met a kid that did not know that their parents' marriage was toxic. I mean, by the time they're about 5 or 6, they know if mommy and daddy love each other or if they don't. They know, okay? So I'm not sure why people keep playing these 1880 games that, divorce is the worst thing possible. My job isn't to break up marriage. My job as a spiritualist is to say, if this is going on this long and you feel blackmailed by, because I know I have some clients who have a twin and they're married to very toxic, spouses, and they are being blackmailed. Meaning, if you do this, I'll make sure you don't see your kid, or I'll put you in court, and we'll be in court for years. Things like that, right? And so fear keeps them in the marriages. It isn't always it's cheaper to keep her or cheaper to keep him or whatever. Sometimes it's fear. It's just plain fear. I'll lose custody of my kids. My kids get along with their dad or their mom, and I just want them to have that. And I understand that. You know what I mean? Let me see here. Having zero boundaries. Okay, so sorry, I read that. Do they do it to protect us? I wouldn't say, I really don't think that's the answer to everyone. When you say, do they do that to protect us? I don't believe that's for every, that's not every twin's reasoning. They're not always reasoning at the point of, I'm going to protect her, and so I'm not going to, connect with her or marry her or this, that, or she's better off without me. That's not what every twin thinks. Quite often the twin feels as if excuse me, she's I'm doing my thing. You know how many masculines I talk to who actually don't know what they want? So today I spoke to a masculine, right? A broken divine masculine, okay? And I said, you know what you want? No, I don't know. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you know what you don't want? I don't, well, I've never, what do you mean? So I said, so your homework today is to give me 20 things you don't want. 20 things, he said. And I go, yes, 20 things you don't want so you can get closer to what you want. It is not unusual for human beings not to know what they want. So when that happens, they need to understand what they don't want. And the answer to your question, do they do it to protect us? Sometimes they don't know if they even want to be with you. They don't even know if they want this life or that life. They don't know what they want. They don't know if they want the job anymore. They don't know if they want that career anymore. They don't know if they want that city, country, whatever anymore. They don't know what they want. And because they don't know what they want, they hesitate and let life trickle through their fingers like sand for decades. That's a super bad habit. It's super toxic. It's super self-destructive, and it's a complete waste of time, precious time, because we don't have that much time. I just had, if I could, I would do numerology on an accident that happened on the 15th of this month, okay? So at like 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a car accident, 3 cars, 1 car flipped over, and the person died immediately, okay, from what we saw. And I did the numerology. And the numerology blew my mind. It blew my son's mind. It blew Andromeda Flame's mind. It blew our fucking mind. Because as I did the numerology the 15th, as I did all the numbers, and if you want, I can one day show you in another live. Ask me if you want me to do that. The final number after all said was done was 15. It would circle back to 15. That's when my son said that person was supposed to die today, right, Mom? And I went, yeah, that's right. So my point to that, what is my point? My point are there are some things in life that we can't track until the day it's done. What does that mean? It means that you all assume that every day is yours, that you will be 80, that you'll be 70. Some of you are wiser than that, and you know it, that that's not true. But some of you actually never think about death. And most of you are making decisions, and that includes your twin flame runner, based on the future that probably will never be. And because of that, you have to then ask yourself, if my twin can't be with me, if my twin refuses to see me, then I better make sure that every nectar from this incarnation, every piece and of this incarnation, that I savor every mouthful until the last breath, with or without my twin. That should be the epicenter of the trajectory of your life moving forward. That should be it. In other words, your twin doesn't own your breath, doesn't own your heart in that way anymore. It will not destroy you. And if you decide that every time your twin doesn't call you or text you, you can't breathe, then you better learn very quickly how to become transcendental. Because you will drop your body, look back on this incarnation with all the moments when you could have done massive, amazing things on your spiritual ascension, on your own growth, on helping other people, and you're going to see all that's wasted years waiting for your twin to wake up, and you're going to feel foolish and unbelievably sad that you wasted one whole incarnation for this kind of fuckery. Why does that happen? Why is that important to happen? Well, because if you don't do this, what's going to happen is that your twin won't grow either. And there'll be a cycle where you have to incarnate with souls and other soulmates and this and that until you're allowed to meet each other again. If you are a twin flame that decides, you know what, fuck it, this life or the next, I continue my life. I'm going to be in mission. I'm going to grow. I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z. And no matter what, I'm going to do this, right? You will find that everything you're doing will benefit your twin remotely. It's like remote healing without you actually getting so much involved, because you're involved in you. And if you understand that if this is your twin, that you're actually technically having a concurrent incarnation. What does that mean? It means that you are one soul split in two, and they're having an incarnation as a masculine or feminine, if you're same gender twins, and or masculine, whatever. And so they're having their human experience in another body, and then you are having your own human experience in your own body. And these bodies are temporary. They're vessels. They're like, and you got your script. Okay, well, you're going to be Nancy in this incarnation. And Nancy was born in Ohio, and she was raised by Christians, and she somehow found spirituality. And she read Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, and excuse me, and she did X, Y, and Z, right? Let me get some water. And so, honestly, once you get to that point, which, the Untethered Soul talks about, Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. Wow. You'll be able to understand what I mean by it's a role. Okay? Excuse me. I wish I could put this on mute, but I can't. The time when I'm actively learning and growing, he does as well. Exactly. There you go. Thank you, Letty. How can I tell if this is a twin? I would schedule a reading with Tony to confirm. If I'm stagnant, he almost moves backward. Exactly. There you go, Scorpio life. There you go. I mean, you're agreeing because you're going through that, right? Once you become transcendental, you'll actually reject your twin. I'm not joking. Because you'll realize that they're not your match, and you're not going to accept them unless they grow. You will not just take the sex. You will not just take the moments that they breadcrumb you on. You will decide that sex is off the table until your twin grows. You will give them a series of books. You will say, here's a stack, read them. When you've read them, we'll discuss them. Call me when you're done. That's it. You want to call me after the first book? You got it. My door's open. You want to call me after the fifth book? You got it. My door's open. That's it. Because until your twin is awakened to your level of consciousness, you don't have a shot in hell in permanent union. It's not going to happen, right? So the whole process is to first, before you suffer, like, no offense, I see women suffering like dogs, like beaten down dogs, and ruining their entire life, ruining their health, literally their health. They do not want to continue. If you get my drift here, they don't want to continue. Okay, they become self-destructive, and they become bereft, literally lost and confused in the woods of their own consciousness. And it's either that's going to be your reality, or you're going to overcome that shit, become transcendental, and walk alone. And walk alone. That's it. And if your twin catches up, you can turn to your life and go, hey, you made it. Great. Let's have, we only have like 5 more years left on this planet. Let's make it fun, right? Or we have 20 years left on this planet. Let's do the best we can with what we got. Or you could say, we have 6 months left. You're going to go first. I'll take care of you. I got you. Let's clear up all the negative shit that created the separations for so many decades or so many years, right? And that's going to be really important. And because as long as you are codependent to your twin, as long as you need them to breathe, to feel worthy, to move on into your life, right? You're not 3 years old, my friends. You're grown-ass women and men. You can do it alone. In fact, you better learn to love your own company. And I think for some of us who were always lone wolves from the very beginning of our childhood, we developed a second skin where we were able to realize that quite often some of the most staggeringly beautiful moments were alone. And then we met our twin, and it added to the nectar of having these incarnations. But it didn't start the nectar there. For some of you, if life started showing it its beautiful colors when you met your twin, there are 2 reasons that could have happened. You went from being married and you went right into, not married, you went from being raised by your family and went directly into marriage. Directly. You never had time for yourself. Okay? Or you were in a colorless marriage for so long that you forgot what it was to be a man or a woman, and now here comes your twin bringing you a colorful life, an exciting life, a life filled with nectar, right? And so, that happens. But the concept of trying to, like literally enjoying your company, like I can't tell you how many girlfriends I knew who would never go to the movies alone, never have lunch at a beautiful little restaurant alone, never go on walks alone. Like they can't be alone. Or guys, they have to have a gang, a group. That's actually not healthy. So for us who have been lone wolves, right? It's easy for us to continue the journey alone. Easier, I should say, not easy, easier. And what it brings is it brings us the strength to carve out a new life. And then when the twin catches up, you're good to go. You're like, okay, got it. Let's finish up the, this journey together, which is what happened to me and my twin, right? So I love traveling by myself. I love spending time alone. I used to hate it. Good. What books do you recommend for them? I send mine, Journey of Souls, but what else? Journey of Souls, if he's a 4D'er, if he's 4D, meaning he believes in reincarnation, this, that, and the other, that's a great book. Okay, but if he's not, I've told my TF for a while that he needs to spend time alone. Yeah, exactly. He does need to spend time alone. If he's not doing that, I don't know why he's not doing that. That doesn't make sense to me, especially a man. I'm going to be straight up. A man needs to be alone. Okay, that's why they used to have dens. Every house used to have a den, and the den was created for the man to be alone, to close the door, and just chill out and do what he needed to do. So any other questions or comments? So when somebody tells you twin flames are not toxic, I call bullshit. Okay, period, end of story. Twin flames are toxic. Maybe and by the way, none of us walk on water. I had my toxicity. Okay, my toxic traits were revealed being with my twin because the behaviors he would, do triggered the shit out of me. It triggered my father wound and it triggered my mother wound. He actually triggered both parents in me. And my parents did an incredible job on many levels. They were good parents, and I was kind of lucky in that way, but they were somewhat, it's weird. It was a weird combination. This is not about my parents, but in other words, you got to be honest with yourself, because you might say, well, they had a house and they took care of us and we had dinner and we did this and that, but you better scratch the surface, please, because unless your parents are walking on water, there was some toxic shit. So, unfortunately, I had to get to that place where I got to really, really explore. Like, I knew my parents were a little, but then, because they were married 27 years, okay? But both of them were cheating. And my dad was a big cheater. My mom, not so much. I think she had, and I could tell when she had lovers. And I remember telling her before she died, I knew he was your lover, this one, that one, that. I think it was like 3 men. In his case, fuck. I mean, some of them I didn't know. But the point is, they stayed married. They were incredibly loyal to each other. And you might say, well, loyal. I mean, he cheated. There's more to loyalty than just sex. They were still playing the template of what I call the toxic Playboy Mansion template. What does that mean? It meant that it gave men an idea that this was okay, normal. As a matter of fact, recently, in the last, say, 5 years, a best-selling book came out of, I think there were psychologists saying that none of us are born monogamous. Well, I call bullshit, because you've got hawks that mate for life, you've got eagles that mate for life, you've got wolves that mate for life, and you have horses that are polyamorous, you have lions that are polyamorous, do you understand? None of us are the same. We're not cookie cutters of each other. So polyamory and monogamy, some of us are wolves and some of us are bulls. Does that make sense? We're different. And there's nothing wrong with it. But the point is loyalty. I've seen people who are polyamorous that are massively loyal to each other. Like, they are number one to each other. Like, if some person, they bring in a lover outside their union or marriage or whatever, starts pulling shit, well, the priority is going to be to the partner, the original partner. So that's loyalty, my friend. So, but with that said, so they were loyal to each other. Now that I've explained that part, hopefully. But that was the shit that I was picking up as a child. That this, for me, wasn't normal. For me, wasn't okay. It did not make me feel safe. Does that make sense? So when my twin came into my life, right, the triggering began. It was very interesting. And I wouldn't have healed to this level of healing if we hadn't met in this incarnation. I would have probably carried some scars, aka impressions, into the next incarnation. This particular life for both of us was massively important because it brought us to the footsteps of ascension. I firmly believe that. So when I spoke about David Bowie's toxicity, his addictions with lovers and all of that, and his ability to heal from that and become fully grounded and fully masculine in his own way, whatever that meant for him to be a man, and to show up as a divine masculine to Iman. Do you see where I'm coming from? The evolutions that can happen. So when people are telling you it's not your twin flame if he's toxic, really? I think my argument's pretty strong that those are ridiculous Peter Pan, Mary Poppins comments coming from, Disney World, okay? And none of it is real. And I think we now know a little more about Disney World than we care to know, on the side note. Let me see here. Yes, question please. Can a twin flame come in to restore a karmic relationship with third party? Can a twin flame come in to restore a karmic relationship with a third party? I think twin flames can do... Forget the twin flames. Just forget it, okay? A person can come into a relationship and restore or destroy anything. I think we need to stop giving that title for a minute. We are human beings, right? Right now. We are human beings. Having human experiences fraught and trapped by the filtering system of the 3D brain in a 3-density planet, right? With narcissists as leaders who gaslight us, triangulate us, and ghost us when we say, well, this is what the will of the people. We don't give a shit what you people want. We know you guys are idiots. You see how they treat us, right? So if the leaders of the world can be narcissistic and we have all of these issues, right? When we look at growth as souls, if we can breach through this density, can you imagine how magnificent we are to be able to do something that we were never able to do in any century before until now? We have never been so enlightened, and more we are awakening, right? So forget the twin flame title for a minute. There will be karmic situations. By the way, we're all karmic. We have karmic loops that we have to clear with our parents in this incarnations, who are souls who incarnated as our brothers, sisters, lovers in past lives. And we have karmic duties and clearing that we have to do with our twin. Clearly, if we didn't have karma with our twin, you wouldn't be a chaser runner situation. You wouldn't be twin flames. You'd be twin ray. You would have broken away from all the karma. You would have cleared a lot of shit and with each other, and the karma would be neutralized. Doesn't that make sense? You'd probably still have some karmic ties and contracts with other souls, soul tribe members, karmic relationships, and what I call lessons. Does that make sense? Did I answer the question? Does that make sense? Like mend your marriage. Mend the marriage. Well, I mean, if it's a karmic person, you can't mend a marriage. The marriage needs to allow to be completely destroyed, and then you build the marriage, a brand new marriage, up based on brand new rules of engagement. Why do I say that? Because when I did the breast cancer symposium, and I was in line to talk to Dr. Susan Love, who was a writer who was an amazing advocate for breast cancer, and who wrote the book, the book of breast. I think it was called the Breast Book. It was called the Breast Book. Yeah, Susan Love, Dr. Susan Love, and she may have passed since then. But anyway, God bless her. I went up to her and I said, "What would you recommend people who go through the cancer, okay, and survive with their partner?" She said they need to understand that marriage is dead. The marriage is gone. They need to build a brand new marriage. So similar to cancer, a toxic relationship in a marriage, you call it the big C, a toxic, loop in a marriage. You don't want to save that marriage. You don't want to mend that marriage. You want to let that marriage collapse and build a brand new marriage on a new foundation based on new rules of engagement. Okay? And then it's not a twin flame if they're helping you stay in a marriage. Am I correct? I might not be correct, but if it's a twin flame and your marriage is toxic, trust me, you don't want to be in that marriage. You'll choose your twin, because your twin is going to offer you the kind of nectar that your karmic person is not going to be able to even match. The sex union of twin flames is worldwide known. It's talked about. The manifestation of twin flames who walk together and twin rays is unsurpassed. It's talked about. And so if you tell me mend a karmic marriage, how? You see what I'm saying? It's, in other words, most people would say, well, the contract is over with that marriage. Let me just move on with my twin, and we're going to get triggered, and we're going to do all kinds of stupidry, and we're going to be together. We're going to make love. We're going to have fun, and then we're going to fuck up again, and we're going to go back and forth, and hopefully we'll work it out so we can graduate to a new level of consciousness, right? But if you say that my twin is helping me heal my karmic marriage, you understand the words you're using, right? When you're saying the word karmic marriage, I'm thinking karmic. It's a karmic partner. It's not even a soulmate. It's not a high level soulmate, right? It's just a karmic loop. Fix it, mend it. I would say no. The contract is done. I was great. We had a great marriage. Now it's not. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for me. I love you. Goodbye. It was great. Okay. How do you do that? How you build the marriage back up again? That is not a one answer Okay, if I had this question too, they can awaken and make us aware of the toxicity. Yes, that's true. How do you do that? Build the marriage back up. There are a lot of steps to that. Lots of steps. If you guys want the answers to that, you just book a session with me, because there's a lot of steps to that. It's not a pat answer. It's not even like a 5 minute fucking monologue. It's a lot of steps. And and you can't fix it with a high level soulmate. But I'm not convinced that you can fix it with a karmic. I'm sorry. I maybe I'm being tough, but I don't feel like you can. Yes, he came to open. Okay, sorry. I feel mine did this too. So many, just a catalyst and not a twin in this case. Exactly. Funny is we're both married, very, and facing the same problem. Yes. Well, a lot. It's not just that you're. Listen, you have to understand the template of marriages. Okay, is interesting because the pressure not to be a spinster. I'm just going to be straight up, very, very blunt with women. Okay, what I find interesting is that I see maybe there's three kinds of women. There's a woman that really doesn't give a shit if she ever marries. They're rare. We had them in the 1800s. We had them 500-600 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. There's always been those women who went, yeah, marriage, no. And then there's the women who feel massively pressured to marry. Like they feel like their success is to. I remember when I was a kid, meaning in my teens and early 20s, where all my girlfriends thought it was a flex to be asked to marry. Oh, I've had 3 proposals. Okay. Well, it's not hard to get proposals from schleppers, okay? So were they fucking high value men? That's the new term now. Were they hot men where a lot of women wanted them, and you got 3 proposals from those guys, or were they schleppers where no one else would fucking marry them? You know, I mean, I'm just being honest. And then the third woman is a woman who becomes a mistress, a high class call girl, and her life is based on money, ducats, asexual experiences. And all of them are valid, okay? All of them are valid. But we are living under the template, and you have to ask yourself, was this your first choice? Was this your first choice? Did you marry this person because you felt like maybe that was it? That, the clock was ticking, you were 27 or 25 or whatever, and this would be it? Or was it validly that you were head over heels in love, and this was your first choice? Like, be honest with yourself, right? Be really honest with yourself, because if you go back and you recapitulate the beginnings of the relationship, there were promises made to you by this man, and you made promises to that man, right? In your case, you're married to men. And there were things said back and forth, but did you really believe it could happen? And when it didn't happen, why did you stay? And it's a question I had to ask myself as well, right? And were you afraid that you would be a spinster, right? A non-married woman. Was that part of your template? Did it feel like you would not be, you were a failure if you didn't get married? And I have to say that the women who are choosing not to marry, it's become kind of, what's the word I want to use? It's become, I'm trying to find the word. It went too far right, okay? And some women aren't even giving the chance of meeting a high value man to their high value female. What in the old days we would have called spinsters, now we call them single women, rightly so, who have their own money, their own situation, and they don't want a fucking man. They just want a lover here and there and nothing more. But the sad part is that once you start creating that dynamic in the universe says, oh, she doesn't want anyone like that. Well, we're only going to send her lovers then. We're not going to send her a really high value man who's going to love the shit out of her, thinks he's the luckiest guy in the world, and they're going to have an amazing time. We're not going to send her that, because she's shown us that she doesn't want that. We've sent a couple of them, but she never really wanted to deep dive with those men. She cut it off before it got too serious, because she wanted to protect her freedom to be a single woman. And it's, for some women, I don't even think some women realize that. I think that some women are really on that loop. In terms of marriage, that loop is also similar, where the pressure to marry, I'm not kidding, the 80s, 90s, early 2000, it's just in the last, I'd say, 10 years that women are finally saying, I consciously choose not to marry, right? I'm not going to feel pressured, fuck this. But in my private readings, right? When I read cards for just your basic clients who just, when I used to work for this company, right? A psychic company. No matter how you see it, the majority of women wanted the marriage ring. They wanted that commitment. They wanted to marry at least once. I can't tell you how many women felt like they were missing out because they'd never been married. So ultimately, what you have to ask yourself is, okay, so at some point I figured out that this was toxic. And why did I wait until my twin came? It's not an accusation. It's not to put you in the defensive. It's to let you know that these are very important questions. Did I stay because there was no one else and I just resigned myself to having a loveless or sexless or colorless life with my person, right? Well, we're comfortable. We're like an old lazy boy, right? Lazy boy, keyword there. But now it took my twin to kind of realize, with the nectar of that person's touch, their voice, their energy, the sexuality. Now I'm alive. I'm so alive that I can't be married to a dead marriage. I can't be married to this albatross around my neck. I have to leave. And, I think the universe is trying to share with us, and we need to share more of these experiences as women more often, because then it would help a lot of young women in these kinds of marriages cut the strings sooner than later. In fact, before they have children. In some cases. So they can leave these toxic marriages within 2-3 years, not even feel embarrassed, even 6 months later, going, you know what? I thought I wanted to be married to this person. This is not my person. Let me get the fuck out of here before I waste 10-20 years, which is the reality of so many, Not sure I want marriage again. Definitely won't do abuse and toxicity again. No kidding. Of course not. I hope not. Raised by a narcissistic father, thought I was good. Little did I know my twin would be the one. Yeah, it happens. And I'm not saying that to make you feel like it's okay to be abused. I had a client who definitely was in a twin flame journey. Every time I did readings, I kept seeing twin flame, massively toxic, to the point of danger. And I had to tell her, listen, I don't give a shit if you're too big. It's fucking all bets off. Just hopefully the next incarnation, that person will get their shit together. But you need to leave. This is not okay. Don't even continue. This is a hell no. And, give them a stack of books. If you feel, tap into their energy whenever you want. And if they can get their shit together, then maybe you can, you can see if you want to continue dialogues with them. But honestly, it's a complete waste of your energy, because until that person is going to admit that they are harming themselves and you and others, and because narcissists really harm other people, they harm pretty much everyone around them. You're going to realize once you make that decision, twin or not, okay, you're going to go, well, okay, I guess the rest of my journey is me. I'm going to continue my ascension. I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to work on my chakras. When I think of my twin, I'll remotely heal them by saging them remotely and visualizing good things for them and blah, 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 blah. But moving forward, I choose me over my twin. That's a win for the universe. The universe says, in fact, your guys will jump up and down in joy, because they're realizing, okay, well, we knew he was going to have a bad beginning as a child. We were hoping he wouldn't turn into an asshole, but he is an asshole. Meanwhile, she's leaving. Good. That's what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to choose herself. And meanwhile, we'll see if he can heal. We'll bring as much guidance to him, messages, mentors, friends, and hopefully she will listen. And if they don't, this other twin is walking their path alone. And it looks like she won't even, or he won't give the twin a second chance or third chance or fifth chance or seventh chance. And it looks like they're resolved not to go back to this twin until they're massively healed. Clearly, they're not going to make it in this incarnation. So we're going to send them a high-level soulmate. And boom, there you are. You're happy. You're safe. You have amazing conversations with your new partner, your beloved. The sex is great. The whole relationship is fabulous, and it's peaceful, and you're companions for the rest of your years. Okay, I've repeated that, but I have to repeat it again because I want to make sure that's understood. Okay, because the universe is there to help you graduate. I wish I had known this earlier, 10 years after. Well, you know better now. Now, there are different type of books of the Untethered book. Which one to get? No, it's The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Okay? You may want to check out the Kindle version and look at, and he starts out with, he talks about the monkey mind. He talks about the voice in my head. So get the Kindle version, meaning don't buy it, sample it so you can see that that's the version. But the other ones are workbooks, okay? So there's only one version, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. There's only one, okay? I'm sorry, I'm confusing it with the Surrender Experiment. Sorry. The Untethered Soul starts out with who are you? Are you Mary? I'm paraphrasing. Here, let me actually give you, hang on, I'll read to you the first page. I have it right here. My twin actually sent me, that was the first book he ever sent me. Actually, that's not true. He sent me a lot of books. But let me read to you the beginnings. Okay? Bear with me. So, okay. Bear with me. Okay. Part 1 says, Awakening Consciousness. The voice inside your head. Shoot, I can't remember her name. What is her name? Darn, here she comes. What is it? Sally Sue? She just told me yesterday. What's the matter with me? This is going to be embarrassing. That's the first page, chapter 1. In case you haven't noticed, you have a mental dialogue going on inside your head that never stops. It just keeps going and going. Have you ever wondered why it talks in there? How does it decide what to say and when to say it? How much of what is said turns out to be true? How much of what it says is even important? And if right now you're hearing, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't have any voice inside my head, that's the voice we're talking about. That's how it starts, okay? That's The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And if you want, get an old copy. It's got the horse running on the beach. And Deepak Chopra on the front cover says, read this book carefully and you'll get more than a glimpse of eternity. I call this book the Bible for the soul. I call this book the Bible for the soul. So it's probably the most important book you can read. One of many important books, but no doubt. And this book, my twin and I we were mailing it back and forth. He would leave me notes. I would leave him notes in the book. So it's got all these notes between him and I talking to each other using this book as a letter, if you will. Okay? That's how we would communicate quite often. So I hope that helps. And then you'll be able to. Thank you for the gift, French girl. Can someone type the name of it, please? The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. All right. The Journey Beyond Yourself. No. I was talking about The Untethered Soul. Okay. So don't beat yourself up. Okay. There's a reason why you didn't know 10 years earlier. 10 years earlier was 2024, right? 2014, excuse me. 2014 is 10 years earlier. What was happening in 2024? Excuse me, I keep saying that. In 2014, there weren't a lot of what we were discussing. There was Deepak Chopra. We were, as a people, still massively asleep. We still believed Oprah Winfrey was a great person. She loved people. She wanted to help them. Now we know better. We still believed that, what's his name, Diddy, was who he was instead of this malevolent, weird sadist creature that he is. There was still a lot of illusions, and now the illusions have been ripped down from our eyes. So I would say to you that don't feel bad. You're doing pretty damn good. Let me see what book you were talking about. Hang on. Okay, so let me see. Hang on, okay? I'm looking for something real quick. I'm sorry, I have this weird cough. Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry. The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. Does that say that in this book? Oh, yeah, it's in small letters. I never noticed that, believe it or not. I just love horses, and that's what I look at. And go on eBay and buy it. Fuck it. Just get it on eBay. It should be... Let me see how much it is on eBay. Hang on. Can anybody check on eBay, how much it is? Because I'm pretty sure... Or go to... give the money to... let's not give Jeff Bezos any more money. Why don't we go to Thrift Books? Buy it on Thrift Books or something, right? unless you're going to get the Audible version and then you're stuck with whatchamacallit, Audible, which is Jeff Bezos anyway. But if you can, let me see if on Thrift Books they have it. Hang on. Yeah, they have it for $7.89 on Thrift Books. The exact copy. So you can actually get it for $7.89 right now as we speak. And shipping is usually cheap. And then on eBay, let me see on eBay if they have it for like $4 free shipping. I'm not joking. Sometimes I'm shocked. So try not to get it. With our old billionaire friend Jeff. Hang on. Yeah, free shipping or best offer $9.98. Offer them $7. See if they'll take it. Tons of ones. There's one actually for free shipping $4. It's coming from Indonesia. That's interesting. But anyway, the average price is $9.99, and you can give them a best offer. Just saying. So now you know where to get it. And again, it's the horse running on the beach. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you for the love. So you always want to get the oldest version possible because it hasn't been messed with since. I have a hard... How do I put this? I don't trust... When a book is mind-blowing and changing people's lives to the level that this book has, and they reprint it, they start diluting the message. It goes through massive upgraded, they'll say, oh, it's been upgraded with new content or whatever. I know. I go with the original book that blew everyone's mind. And the way to go is to get the oldest copy, if that makes sense. Oh my God, I miss eBay. Been a while, you're right. Yeah, eBay. I mean, I bought so many books on eBay for $4 and on Amazon they were $20. I bought a lot of Khalil Gibran's books too on eBay. I can't tell you. I mean, books that would have cost me massive. So let me go ahead. I have, how much time do I have? I have 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and do an oracle reading. Hang on for a quick second. Bear with me. Okay. And so again, I'm always picking from the Alana Fairchild's cards, right? And so there's a deck called the Medicine Heart Oracle, Shamanic Wisdom for the Divine Feminine. If there are men here, please raise your hand so I can get it to be a more neutral energy. Though if I was a masculine, if I were you, I would tap into my divine feminine energy within myself. Just like sometimes, like there's a friend of mine that's going through it with her twin. And I said to her, right now you need to tap into your masculine energy so that you can, oh, good. Francois de Jeffrey, it's good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to do Sacred Rebel, okay? I'm going to do Sacred Rebel, and we're going to do that, okay? I think. Hang on for a quick second. I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to do Sacred Rebel and honey and lemon in warm water for your throat. Yeah, I'm going to do it after, but I have a client, and I got to I want to finish this live with you guys. All right, so we're going to do Sacred Rebel, which I think is more neutral, okay? And then we'll do that, and then we'll go from there. All right? All right, here we go. When you're ready, tap bottom, tap. Pick bottom, top, or middle when you're ready. Pick bottom, top, or middle. But I'm going to do that as soon as I can. Honey and lemon as soon as, and maybe even top. Okay. Jeez, I'm sorry. Top, middle, hang on, how many? Top. Okay, it looks like top's the winner. All right, great. The Perfection of Your Life, number 30. The Perfection of Your Life, number 30. From Sacred Rebel, Alana Fairchild. All right, let's look at this number. And let's continue. Let's begin, actually. All right, let me read this to you. The Perfection of Your Life, number 30. 3 is the number of the balance of the mind, body, and spirit. How can you ever see a storm? Have you ever seen a storm pictured from above? It can appear to be so beautiful and elegant. This is certainly different to the ground view, which can be quite violent experience. So too, there is a great beauty in your life now. However, at this point in the natural process, you may be experiencing it as anxiety-inducing rather than beautiful. You may sense it as internal chaos. You may feel it as something that is waiting to erupt from within, as a restlessness or an anxiety that you cannot quite articulate, but sense vaguely nonetheless. Perhaps the chaos is fully fledged and a person or situation in your life is causing all kinds of havoc, upheaval, or change and uncertainty in your world. Whether the chaos seems subtle, strong, internal, or external, this oracle brings you the message for you. All is unfolding according to a perfect higher order. You are currently enduring a cosmic spiritual storm which is having an impact on you. It is a clearing things out, ruffling feathers, and preparing you for that lovely, super fresh, uplifting feeling that one experiences after the storm has finally passed. If you have drawn the oracle after the storm as well, this message is amplified for you. Even if you have not chosen that card but feel intuitively drawn to read the message let me reread that. But feel intuitively drawn to read this message for it after the healing process below, you are encouraged to do so. If you could not believe there's anything happening, even at a subtle level, because you feel stuck, denied, bored, thwarted, or stale, this oracle brings you a message also. No matter what appears to be, in truth, there is only the unfolding creative geniuses of the universe. You are not forgotten. You have not been looked over. You have not been denied, found wanting, or rejected as unworthy. The storm that needs to erupt is in your heart. Okay, this is a really interesting line. The storm that needs to erupt is in your heart. Yes, why is the storm that you need? Okay, why is the storm that needs to erupt in your heart? Because what happens when you're in a twin flame journey, right, is that there's so much pain that there's a switch. It's almost like a survival switch. Maybe it's happened to you, maybe not. I hope it never happens to you, but it does happen. Where there's a switch where you turn your heart off and you go right into survival mode and you literally turn your back on the connection. And the irony is that I've had many clients who literally were running, chasing for their twin, and there was so much fuckery that their heart started shutting down, squeezing tight. It was like, the doors of Maxwell Smart, if you ever saw the 1960s show Maxwell Smart, where he's going through all these fucking doors. And that's what happens with the heart. And so now you no longer, now again, you guys are going to think, oh, that's not a twin if that's happening. Yes, it is. Because you will keep away from your twin. Because you will feel as if you don't want to be sexually triggered by them. You don't want them anymore. You don't want to love them anymore. It hurts too fucking much. So that's what happens is you become the runner. You might not call yourself a runner because you're not running. You're just not accepting him in your realm. You'll still take their calls, but somewhere inside of you, your heart switched off. That's not good. Not for any human being do you switch your heart off. Never, ever, for no one. And so when that happens, and it has happened, and I know you have been out there in the world and been in airports and cafes and restaurants and bars, and you've seen women and men, but mostly women, who looked brittle, the light out of their whole being, and you're like, who the fuck hurt that woman, right? Who destroyed that woman? Because she's almost robotic. She's cold. It looks like she hasn't been made love to in fucking 70 years. And she's only 40. You get my feeling here? That's someone who's switched their hearts off permanently. Because they're afraid of being hurt. Don't ever do that. Not for your twin. Not for no one. So when the storm comes, the tower feeling comes, right? There's a tower moment. It's not to harm you or hurt you. It's to destroy this ice heart that you've developed to survive. In your words, to survive. That's not going to make you survive. That's going to shut off your ability to have heart coherence. It's going to shut off your ability to create and co-create with the universe, even if you decide to be celibate for your whole life. I've met women who are celibate that are lush, moist, and sensual and sexy, and they haven't been touched by any lover in 12, 15 years. And you would never know it in a fucking million years. And yet I've seen women who are in marriages and they have bad sex here and there, whatever, and my God, it looks like, I don't know, like something just shut down, right? Don't do that. Okay? All right, let's continue. All right. So express whatever is needed, however is needed, to exercise the blocked energy in your heart. Then you will call on the powerful perfection of your life path as it aligns for the next creative turn of the spiral of life. Once again, you will trust and directly experience the flower of life unfolding within you and around you. Healing process. Imagine that you are standing at the silent center of a great cleansing storm. All aspects of your life are rained upon, blown about, and even messed up a little. How do you feel? The storm then passes and you are left with soft sunshine and slightly soggy feet. Some parts of your life will have been washed away. Some others will be strong and stable. A bit messy perhaps, but still, there's nonetheless. How do you feel? Underneath your feet, you see a pattern forming in the cleansed earth, as if it is rising up from the damp, slightly disturbed soil. A golden, gleaming geometric pattern of the flower of life glows. Sense the perfection of the form and see how each flower feeds into the next in symmetry, harmony, balance. This is, you need to, thank you for the love. You need to, with all your might, let your heart break wide open even bigger. And so you'll have two choices in this incarnation, because you will be hurt. People you love will die, and they will shock you, because some of them will just be, oh my God, I just talked to them. What do you mean they just died? What happened? Car accident. What? But I just talked to them 2 days ago, just 10 minutes ago. You will be hurt. It's going to happen. And just 10 minutes ago. You will be hurt. It's going to happen. And bigger, more incredible, more beautiful, more loving. And when you drop your body, my God, can you imagine how fast you'll soar? But if you entangle your heart in knots and grief and fear and despair and anger and feelings of betrayal, how are you going to drop your body with that shit around your heart? It's like an anchor that's been cemented into the bottom of the ocean. You're not going anywhere. Not really well. Does that make sense? That's what you need to understand in this incarnation. So, any questions? I'm going to leave it there because I got to go. But any questions or comments? How did that hit you? That was an interesting card. My ex-boyfriend passed away this past Saturday. Accident. Thank you, Eliza, and God bless you. And my condolences. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Thank you. I really want you to work on connecting with your ex-boyfriend if you feel guided to. Okay? And have the conversations you need to have with him now, because and also, you may want to help him make sure he's crossed over well. Yeah, it makes sense. We don't want to leave with a heavy heart and soul. I'm so sorry. Thank you for this. This has been great. Eliza, I send you many hugs, sister. And ex or not, love doesn't end because you're no longer beloveds. Okay? You're still, those memories, the nectar, even the breakup, there's still a connection. So, speak to him like you're speaking to your best friend next to you, or to speak to him as I'm speaking to you now. And ask him what he needs, and go into a deep meditation and let him enter, so that you can do your final, if you want, let it be your final goodbyes. If you want to continue a conversation, a friendship, and being allies with each other, where he's on the other side. He can help you in this incarnation. You can help him transcend, continue his journey. I don't know if you know this, but when my husband died in 2020, it took 2 minutes, and it was not expected. One of the things I used to communicate with him, my son was having dreams of him every day, the Star Seed Oracle deck. And I would pull out 3 cards every day, like, how you shuffle them, you let the cards fall, 3 cards every day to see where he was at. And I documented for 3 weeks, 3 cards every day to see where he was at on his journey back home, because while he was visiting my son, he still had things to do. Just like my twin passed away July 19th of brain cancer, and I was able to, I've been able to communicate with him ever since he passed. Do you understand? And so if you want to, and you allow this, don't be surprised if you get messages and communications. Don't be surprised, okay? It's up to you. All right? I have the deck. You're welcome. All right? Any other questions? And by the way, that's my twin's number, 23. And mine. Yeah, thank you. Well, it's because I still have a connection with him, probably. Because I think if I wasn't connecting with him every day, I wouldn't be so strong. Trust me, I would not be. I'd be bereft, because I'm still getting the nectar of his energy even today. In fact, every morning I wake up with all kinds of incredible messages and or experiences. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, recently I woke up and he was working on him and some guides on the flower of life. That's what's ironic about this reading. That's why I'm sharing it. The flower of life was spinning on my third eye as I woke up. Now, for a very long time, I've been having my team upgrade me with light codes. So it's not unusual for me to have sacred geometry running through my third eye, and me with my eyes closed seeing it happen and thanking them for upgrading me. But that morning when I saw the flower of life, which was just mentioned in this oracle deck, I woke up with the flower of life spinning clockwise on my third eye, and it was him working on me. So I just want you to know how the illusion, and I know you hear it 100 million ways, the illusion of separation is an illusion of separation from the 3 density that we live in, and these very stubborn 3D brains are like cement blocks. But again, remember, the fact that we are awakening amidst these obstacles is a fucking miracle. And that's what we're calling the ascension. Okay, so Eliza, God bless you, and God bless your ex-boyfriend, and just much love to you, okay? So stubborn, lol, exactly. Any other questions? And I will talk to you tomorrow, Tracy. Any questions or comments? Anything else? VDRS. Yeah, she's a good one, that one. Any other questions or comments that you want to leave each other? Oh, hello. Hare Krishna, everyone. You talk tomorrow. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for everything. And yeah, all right. Namaste. Be well.